Question 9 is a function question, and like with all function questions, I'm going to look at the sentence with the underlined portion, and I'm going to look at the sentence before, and if there was, the sentence after. Unfortunately, this passage ends with the underlined portion, so I'm going to stop there. So looking at the sentence before, it says that Erick Guerra et al., so I'm guessing that's the researchers, have shown that transportation mode choice in urban areas of Mexico is the product of a complex mix of factors. What that means is how people choose which transportation type to take is really based on a whole list of different things. Now, notice how the next word is including. So I know that this is really just going to be a list of examples. So population density, spatial distribution, etc. Those are all examples of different factors. I don't need to know what those factors are. I don't really need to read that list. I just need to know they're talking about a whole mix of different things. The sentence after then goes on to say that system features do affect ridership. So what they're saying is, yeah, the features or the characteristics of that system do affect whether people ride that transportation or not, but there is an irreducibly, means, very important, non-negotiable, contextual dimension of transportation mode choice. What they're saying here is that the context of that transportation, so not the transportation itself, but the context around it, is also really important in affecting ridership, or whether people choose to ride that transportation or not. So that's all I'm going to look at in the passage. And I'm going to go to the answer choices and eliminate based on what I've understood from those two sentences. Now, answer choice A says that it, and it means this underlined portion, presents an objection to the argument of Guerra et al. So that would mean that the second sentence I read and the first sentence I read are opposing each other. But I definitely didn't see that. Those two sentences are actually saying the same thing, which is that transportation, it's a complex thing. There's a lot of context to it other than just the features, right? So they're not objecting each other, or they're not opposing each other, but they seem to kind of build off of the same idea. And so objection, absolutely incorrect. What I then notice is answer choice C and D. So I'm looking at these words, illustrates the claim and substantiates the assertion. In case we're a little unclear, substantiates the assertion really just means supports the claim. Supports the claim. So C and D both would mean that the underlined portion I'm talking about is an example. It's an example that illustrates, or it's an example that supports something. So that's really not true about this second sentence that I read. This is not an example of the first sentence. They're really the same idea, just written in different words. So immediately C and D I don't like, but we'll read the rest of it just to be sure that those are incorrect. C says, it illustrates the claim that a characteristic associated with high transit ridership is not associated with high transit ridership elsewhere. Well, we're not in that underlined sentence talking about a single characteristic, and we definitely didn't talk about high transit ridership elsewhere. Anywhere else other than Mexico, urban areas of Mexico, never came out. So we're really not discussing that in the underlined portion. So C is incorrect. D then goes on to say, it supports the assertion that this list of factors are important factors in transportation mode choices. Now, this is a very popular incorrect answer choice on the SAT. Now, why is this incorrect? Because we saw a very similar sentiment in the passage. But if you look closely, answer choice D is saying these factors are important, whereas in choosing transportation, whereas in the passage we're just saying these are factors in making a transportation mode choice. Whether they're important or not, what makes a factor more or less important, I have no idea. We didn't discuss this at all. So in case you missed the supports the claim part, which really should have allowed you to eliminate this answer choice, in case you missed that, put in this word important. Important factor. I don't know what an important factor is. I know it's a factor, but important I can't say based on the passage. So for those reasons, C and D are incorrect. If we look at answer choice B, it says it explains why it is challenging to influence or affect ridership only by changing the features. Notice that this is pretty much the last sentence verbatim. It's just using different words, but it's that same idea as answer choice B. So it's saying that system features do affect ridership, but there are other things. So it's kind of hard to only change or to change ridership by only changing features of the system features. So for that reason, B is the correct answer to this question.